Look past the established commercial trails of Southeast Asia, and you hit a rugged emerald wall rising straight out of the Banda Sea. Deep off these coastlines, multi-billion-dollar natural gas fields in the Timor Sea drive the state's sovereign wealth, funding the architecture of one of the 21st century's youngest republics. Inland, the high-altitude mists of Ermera conceal a terrestrial economic engine. Farmers here execute manual harvests, sorting ultra-premium, fair-trade organic Arabica coffee that dominates a highly specialized global export pipeline. Below the surface, the biological stakes scale up rapidly. These marine corridors house schooling hammerhead sharks, gliding over reefs so pristine, marine biologists categorize them as the most biodiverse aquatic systems on the planet. But the white sands and untouched coral create a dangerous illusion for the unprepared. This territory does not function like the cheap, highly commercialized digital nomad hubs on neighboring islands. This chart plots regional Southeast Asian destinations by required logistical effort against actual ecological payoff. Standard hubs sit safely in the low-friction quadrant. Timor-Leste operates strictly up here, demanding maximum strategic effort to reach these massive, entirely isolated rewards. Operating within this untouched territory requires navigating complex archipelagic logistics and adapting to a completely distinct, rigid financial architecture. The initial entry is deceptive in its simplicity. A massive block of Western passports, including the entire European Union, flow through the gates of Presidente Nicolau Lobato International Airport with total visa-free privileges. For other global passports, including US and UK nationals, crossing the Mota Ain land border from Indonesia involves a seamless 30-day visa on arrival. The immigration desk requires exactly $30 in physical cash, and that $30 fee signals the immediate reality of the Republic's economy. Timor-Leste runs exclusively on the United States dollar. The financial grid operates on a strict functional duality. High-value transactions are settled entirely in U.S. paper bills, layered over local centavo coins issued strictly for fractional change. A smooth border entry cannot offset the hard currency shock. The moment you cross the line, the standard regional strategy of stretching a weak currency completely disintegrates. The financial pressure localizes immediately around housing. Expat infrastructure is heavily concentrated in the capital city of Dili, specifically inside districts like Ponte Calapa and Ferrol. Securing a modernized, air-conditioned apartment equipped with the reliable backup power arrays required for digital operations demands between $450 and $850 a month. Match those premium rent figures against the domestic job market, where corporate and service sector wages remain heavily compressed due to shifting domestic economic metrics. For a foreign professional, attempting to sustain themselves by securing local employment results in immediate mathematical failure. The overhead outpaces the localized income stream. The counter-strategy is remote execution. By locking in premium foreign client retainers, you leverage the absolute stability of the US dollar against the low secondary costs of a tropical environment. The baseline rule is unforgiving. Bring a robust, independent remote income stream or watch your operating capital drain away rapidly. Capital alone does not secure operations. The archipelagic fiber lines connecting the territory are vulnerable to disruption, making them completely inadequate for high-bandwidth professional execution. Hardware independence is mandatory. Deploying high-speed satellite internet networks like Starlink shifts your data streams away from physical ground constraints, securing your link to external clients. Once the digital friction is solved, you face the physical friction. Movement across the territory is entirely dictated by a rigid atmospheric calendar. This chart tracks the equatorial monsoon cycle. It divides the calendar into a severe precipitation split, locking temperatures between 24 and 31 degrees Celsius year-round, while wildly varying the physical water volume. Ignore this data at your own risk. The wet season runs from November to May. Torrential downpours wash out regional mountain chacks, and high ocean swells regularly freeze inter-island boat transits, entirely halting local logistics. The operational window is June to October. This is the core dry season. Humidity drops, the mountain roads stabilize, underwater visibility clears to absolute perfection for coastal diving. Surviving the infrastructure gap requires exactly two things: independent satellite hardware and total obedience to the 6-month dry weather window. If you respect the friction, the territory grants access to an exceptional social and ecological reality. Violent physical threats and organized syndicates targeting expats are statistically near existent. Solo female creators consistently execute coastal road trips and navigate public markets like Dili with profound peace of mind, provided standard nighttime quiet protocols inside rural coastal villages are observed. The deep communal order stems from a historically preserved Portuguese architectural footprint and a devoutly Catholic population, representing over 95% of the republic, making it a massive geographic anomaly in East Asia. That deep historical fusion extends into the kitchen. Austronesian root and seafood diets collide with Portuguese and Indonesian influences to produce Ikan Saboko, fresh mackerel tossed with crushed tamarind, wrapped tightly in green banana leaves and roasted slowly over open hardwood embers. And just off the coast lies Atauro Island. Scientific surveys map an average of over 200 distinct species of fish per single diving site, officially outranking the Great Garrida Reef in isolated biological density. The high logistical friction acts as a structural shield. It actively filters out mass tourism, protecting one of the world's last safe, culturally intact tropical frontiers. To see if your operational setup fits this environment, we track your parameters through a final decision tree, starting at your income source. Budget backpackers and local job seekers hit the dollarized wall immediately. The costs of basic survival here outpace standard regional travel strategies. If you secure a robust remote income stream, you advance to the secondary node, your travel timeline. Attempting to base operations here between November and May means your high earning potential is immediately trapped by torrential rain and frozen inter-island transit routes. The mathematical alignment requires arriving in the core dry window: high remote income, independent satellite internet, and stable weather tracks. This environment filters out casual travelers, providing high-stakes returns only to the highly strategic operator. The price of admission is strict, but the return on investment sits right outside your door: the most biodiverse coral reefs on planet Earth. It's a direct trade. You sacrifice the frictionless ease of commercialized Southeast Asia for the raw, unpolished reality of a dollarized republic. Would you baseline your next remote project here? Evaluate your own logistical capacity in the comments below and subscribe to stay real.